Greetings and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today is going to be a reading vlog where I read some popular fantasy romances. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. It's been a while since I had my little theme song. Today is going to be another cozy, casual reading vlog. You guys already know those are my favorite videos to film, and we're going to be reading a lot of fantasy books. You guys know I wasn't a fully fledged fantasy girly for a long time. Only because like a 600-700 page fantasy book is so incredibly daunting, but recently I've been kind of vibing with it. I have. My TBR is endlessly long, very long, because there are so many that I haven't read and want to get to. So we're gonna keep things chill and casual in this video, and I'm gonna pick up books as we go, but I will talk about some that I definitely want to read. This is kind of my loose TBR. I've heard some interesting things about all of these books. First one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. Guys, everybody was raving about this book last year. I was watching like everyone's videos of like best books of 2023. This was on nearly every list. And I know the second book came out recently, so I would love to get to it. Our heroine is like writing essays and creating maps all about the land of the fairies. So very interested to read this. I picked up Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I heard a lot of good things about this. I mean, it's Brandon Sanderson, so of course I've heard good things. This one I bought solely because it was a cover buy. This is Sanctuary of the Shadow by Aurora Asher. It actually does not have good reviews on Goodreads, but it had the most stunning sprayed edges. Ugh, I'm ashamed. I am ashamed that I picked this up because of a cover buy, but it is exceptionally pretty. So because I was impulsive and bought this book, we're going to include it in this video. I also have Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater checked out on my library. I know a lot of people loved that one. Yeah, that is kind of like my loose TBR. If you guys want more fantasy romance recommendations, I do have a whole video where I recommend my favorites, so I will leave that linked down below. But that's about it. I'm gonna take you guys along with me this week as we read some fantasy books. Good morning. They're shorter than the last clip that you guys saw because I just got a haircut yesterday. I haven't even styled it this morning, but I love my short hair. I hate the feeling of like hair on the back of my neck. Anyways, I'm on my break right now. I'm gonna make some coffee, but I'm working from home today. I just got a package of one of the books that we're gonna read in the vlog, so that's kind of exciting. It is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, I think is how you pronounce her name. I love this cover. I was gonna read the audiobook for this, but the wait on my library was a little long and I really wanted to film this vlog now, and I didn't really feel like using an Audible credit or anything, so I was like, you know what, I think the cover is so gorgeous, I'm just gonna buy it. So that's what I did. This book is not as long as I thought it was. Like, I thought it was a much thicker book. How many pages is it? 317. So for a fantasy, that's pretty short. Sorry, I have like these little pimple patches on my face. But yeah, we're gonna make some coffee. I'm excited that I got this in the mail. This was on so many people's like favorite of 2023, like favorite books of 2023. I could literally think of like 5 videos that I saw this on. So I have high hopes. I need to make coffee because I can't. My brain. So I'm in my pajamas still because I'm so sick. Feel bad for me. Just joking. No, I'm feeling like a little under the weather, so I did not feel like putting on real clothes today, even though I like to get dressed even if I'm working from home, but not today. Well, I'm 40 minutes early. Okay. Why are you not staying still? That's like super rude. I am 40 minutes early to pick up the kids because that's what everyone does. I know we're all contributing like to the problem by showing up early. I don't show up with plenty of time. I am like back of the line on the street, and the kids are very dramatic about it. They'll text, "Did you forget about us? Who's picking us up? Where are you?" It's very dramatic. It's very dramatic. I say the kids, I mean my siblings. I have no kids, thank God. And don't wish that upon me. Don't do that. Just my younger siblings, and we all call them the kids. Sitting here, but I do have my Kindle and my headphones, so I'm gonna listen to a little bit more of my audiobook. I just started Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I'm on like chapter 3 and I'm loving it. Oh, I absolutely love it, darling. I love the historical vibes. Okay, you guys know I'm a huge fan of historical romances, so it's kind of fun to read a historical fantasy. Writing style is just very interesting from like chapter chapter 1, I was hooked. It follows our heroine, who is essentially cursed by like a fae demon. It alludes to the fact that her mother made a deal with this demon years ago and kind of promised him her firstborn, so he's coming to collect on that promise. Has managed to escape thanks to her cousin, but she loses pieces of herself and her emotions, and now she's a little bit older. She is headed into London for the season, and that's where we're at right now. I'm really enjoying the audiobook. I'm gonna listen to that right now as I'm waiting for these kids to get out of school. I fear I have reached past the point of exhaustion and headed straight into being delirious. I just see, words are escaping me. I just got off of work and clearly I'm feeling a little bit frazzled. It was a day. It was a day. No, let me update you on the book and then I'll tell you why it was a day. Anyways, I finished a book today at work. I was listening to the audiobook. We read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater and I loved it. It was the joy of my day, truly. If I gave you a thorn and a rose, that would be my rose. 5 stars. I think it was so brilliantly done. I think this book excelled at essentially everything. The pacing of the book was so engaging. I was completely enamored with both the plot and the relationships. Character development was spot on. I genuinely cared about every single character in this book. Our heroine was witty and kind. Our hero was sarcastic and lovable. All of the side characters were so well fleshed out. There were even some side romances and plots that just contributed to the overall story. The setting was absolutely divine. It felt like a true historical. I felt like I was reading a classic historical romance with all of the best tropes. The fantasy element was spot on. I thought the world building was spectacular. You completely understood all of the magic within this world because it is such a magical world. But it didn't feel like the author was doing like an info dump situation. It just flowed so well. You found out information as our heroine was finding out information. She was so clever. I absolutely adored her. Like I said, the world is so magical. You have magicians and fays and elementals, and it's just filled to the brim with magic and fairy tale in this historical setting. And it was done spectacularly. I really enjoyed it. I kind of talked about the plot a little bit, but I'll dive more into it. So in the beginning of the book, it starts off with our heroine being accosted by a fae claiming to own her and wanting to bring her to his magical realm, the fae realm. Kind of alluded to that her mother basically like made a deal with the devil, essentially made a deal with this fae and promised her firstborn child, which is our heroine. Heroine's cousin is there at the time that she is essentially going to be kidnapped and kind of protects her. Later find out, and you possibly know this if you are familiar with fae stories, but iron is pretty damaging to them, and our heroine is in possession of like these iron scissors. So her cousin uses these scissors to defend themselves, and the fae essentially curses our heroine, splitting her soul in half. And she's left in the human mortal world, but there are pieces of her that is missing, and you learn to find out that a lot of the pieces that are missing are her emotions, and you kind of see how she is navigating that as a woman in London. It's absolutely not a spoiler, okay? You've learned all of this like in the prologue. Our heroine's cousin is like the diamond of the season. She is absolutely beautiful. She's rumored to be matched very well, and she is about to have a season in London. Her cousin agrees to go and to get married, but really she kind of has ulterior motives. She wants to find a magician that could help her cousin like cure this curse, and that is where our hero comes in. He is essentially the king's magician. He is very powerful. He fought in the War of Napoleon, and he is known to be able to break essentially any curse. You can see why they end up crossing paths. They're trying to break our heroine's curse, but there's also like a little mystery side plot. A lot of sinister magical things are happening in London that they're trying to figure out. I don't want to do any spoilers, so I'll kind of leave it at that. A couple things I want to know. Number one, if you don't like fairy romance books, or if you're not familiar with them and you think they might be a little bit complicated, just like the different dynamics, like sometimes because it is a popular trope, authors kind of make the mistake of assuming you know everything about the lore, or it becomes so redundant and they're kind of like info dumping the magic system on you. This author did neither. She did it in such a perfect way where you completely understood what was happening. It seemed perfectly blended into the story, and it was fantastic. I really love this cover. I don't own it physically, but I want to buy it soon because I just feel like the cover perfectly goes with the book. I've recommended this book to a couple people now, and I get asked kind of the same questions, and that's one, is this a romance? Absolutely, this is a fantasy romance, 100%. There's a very clear couple from the beginning of the book. There is side romances, side characters that have relationships. It is absolutely a romance. Although this book is slow burn, And the plot does take a huge part in this book and really does focus on our heroine's own personal journey. What makes this book so fantastic is none of those things are taking away from the romance. Second question I get is, does this have spice? No, it's not a steamy fantasy romance, which is maybe what you're looking for, and that's completely fine. For me, I don't feel like it was lacking anything. Like, I really think if you're a fantasy reader or you're a romance reader, you will enjoy this either way. The connection between our hero and our heroine was written beautifully. It was like sweepingly romantic. My heart ached from how romantic it was. There were so many quotes that I was literally like, oh my god, they're so freaking cute together. I was swooning, giggling, and kicking my feet, okay? I think that's a testament to the author's writing, that you're so connected to literally every aspect of this book, and it just does not feel like it needs anything else. It was done. It's just so beautifully well crafted. And don't get me wrong, okay? I love a good spicy, sexy scene. I do, okay? But like this couple, it was just so romantic, and the emotional connection and the banter between them was unmatched. You can like what you like. If you like Fade to Black, that's fine. If you like smutty, sexy goodness, that's fine, okay? Whatever floats your boat, whatever tickles your pickle, whatever makes your booty shake and jiggle, okay? Like whatever you want. But I actually do think that a lot of people would really, really like this book because it's done so well. I feel like it's one of those books that a multitude of readers would really like. People who like fantasy, romance, historical romance. It's for a lot of people, and I really recommend it. I thought this book was perfect. I actually have zero complaints. The audiobook, fantastic. Hopefully I explained that well, because I'm very, very tired, but just know it was 5 stars. Definitely one of my favorite reads of the year. That was my rose. Let me tell you my thorn. Okay, we're moving on. That was the book update. Let's talk shit. Let's talk about my day. Okay. My thorn. Oh, damn. So today I had to go into the office, right? HR, for legal purposes, I'm very, very happy to have this job. I go to work many a days, but this time I actually had to go to work. Go to the office. Wear pants. See people. You feel me? You get the difference? Okay, I was not working from home. Anyone for my job sees this, okay? For HR and legal purposes, I am lucky and blessed to have the job that I have, okay? I do not take that for granted. I'm very happy I can pay my bills, okay? We got that out of the way. Let me tell you what happened today. I had not been in the office for a very, very long time because of some health issues, yada, yada, yada. So I was already very nervous. My body is still recovering from some health things. Go to work. I am minding my business. When I say minding my business, I am booked and busy and doing the things that I am legally obligated to do, okay? Employee of the month type of shit. Minding my business, sitting on my desk, clacking on the computer. It's very clear that I'm actually working and I'm busy. Somebody comes up to me, right? You will call him, we will not give him a name because he does not deserve that. But just know he is a coworker, not in my department, not someone that I interact with ever. He's a white man, okay? I feel like that's kind of prevalent to the story as well. And he comes up to me and sarcastically, well, first of all, stands in front of my desk, just looms over me like a weirdo. I'm like, hi. And he very sarcastically looks at me and goes, wow, you look like you're having such a good time. You should smile more. Should smile more? Guys, keep in mind, I am literally sitting like in a corner in my desk. I do not have a job that I interact like face to face with people. And I was by myself at my desk doing my job. And you come up to me, looming over me. You should smile more. Are you, look at me when I say this. Are you okay? First of all, who just sits at their desk by themselves? Do you do that? I'm just curious. Do you do that? No, you're not going to just smile at a computer by yourself. That looks insane. And secondly, you have me stop what I'm doing, the job that I get paid to do, to tell me to smile more. Okay. What I wanted to do was flip my desk, just computer, monitor, and all. But what I did instead was I looked at him. Did I smile? No. No smile happened on this face. I just looked at him and I was like, I am just doing my job, sir. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he walked away. Don't tell women to smile more, sir. I'm educated and fully qualified to do my job, and I can do all of that without a fucking smile. My appearance and the status of my resting bitch face is not, any of your concern or affecting my job. So, please, Please. And the thing is that this particular person has actually said that to me numerous times when I'm literally minding my business, like when I'm walking out of the bathroom. One time I saw him at a Target across from our job, and he told me that while I was checking out. Sir, let me live my life. I don't even feel like I have resting bitch face. There's a lot more crazy that could come out if I allowed it. We live another day, happy and blessed to have a job. My job isn't always this bad. I feel like I've been complaining about it recently. It's really not terrible. It's not all bad. People are people, and you have to remind them. You have to remind them who the fuck you are. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for listening to my Rose and Thorn. Absolutely love the book. Absolutely don't like trash men. It's actually a shame that I'm bi and still attracted to men because they just give me the fucking ick. A woman would never. A woman would never. Moving on. Live, laugh, lobotomy. I'll talk to you guys when we finish our next book. Alright, so this past month was really busy, so I decided to throw in some clips. This weekend was my parents' wedding anniversary. Look how cute my parents are. Aren't they absolutely adorable? To be honest, guys, my parents have the cutest meet cute. Like, they make me believe in love still, okay? One day I will tell their meet cute, or I'll have them on the channel. So here are just some clips from the party. The party was so busy. We had so much family over that I needed like a whole relaxing day afterwards. So I ended up going to the spa with Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers, which you will see in the next couple clips as well. So yeah, here are just some random vlogs and clips of how my month has been going. This is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Lacey is roasting me for how much food I got. Oh my gosh, but this strawberry cake looks so good. This vlog has taken 3 months and I've read one book. In the beginning of the year, I was in a fantasy mood and I'm no longer in a fantasy mood and I don't know what to do about that. I don't know what to say, but I want to finish the books in this video. So the clips in this vlog are going to be out of order and all over the place, but we're gonna read some fantasy books, y'all. It's so weird because the book that I read, Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, I loved it. Like, absolutely loved it. 5 stars, highly recommend. One of my favorite books that I read this year. So I'm like, you think that would inspire me to read more fantasy books, but really I'm just like, nothing sounds interesting. So I'm off tomorrow and I'm going to really sit down and finish this fucking book. I think we should start the Brandy Sandy book because I bought it, so I have to read it so my money doesn't go to waste. It's just that like so many people were raving about this book and people love Brandy Sandy. And I recognize and I realize that I am the problem because once I create a TBR, once I tell myself, okay, Sam, you have this amount of time to finish a book, my brain rebels against it. We're gonna get it together. You and I are gonna, well, you probably have your shit together. Let me not drag you into this mess. Yeah, I think we're gonna start the Brandy Sandy book. It's just, it is time. Camera is like not focusing to save its life. What is going on? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We're focusing. The fuck? What was going on? Rest of the Emerald Tea by Brandon Sanderson. I fell asleep last night reading. Not because I wasn't interested in it, but because I was so fucking tired. But then I realized I don't think I've ever told you the plot of this book. So let's do that. When it was kind of like pitched to me, everyone was describing it as a Princess Bride retelling. By the way, I literally just talked about this book because I was doing like a what's in your bag video, which was super fun, and this book was in my bag because I was reading it at work. Y'all have probably seen me talk about this book in other videos, and I'm sorry, but I am having a whole ass moment with Brandy Sandy right now. So the way that this was pitched to me is that it is like a Princess Bride gender bent, like reimagining, which I was a little concerned about because I've never seen or read Princess Bride. I've already talked about that. Then someone else was like, it is so loosely inspired by it, like you can totally jump into it and be fine. So that's what I did. I just started reading it and I'm not lost at all. It is so easy to just like dive into this writing style. I think this writing style is so funny. Like I am finding myself giggling so much throughout this book. Anyways, so it follows Tress, who lives on an island surrounded by the Emerald Sea, which is the title, Tress of the Emerald Sea. And it's not really like an ocean as you and I would think of an ocean with water. This sea is filled with spores that kind of move and operate by gusts of air. But the spores are very, very dangerous because if they are exposed to even a drop of liquid, okay, drop of water, sweat, bodily fluid, just a drop of liquid, they explode. So they're very, very dangerous. Most people do not ever travel outside of their island because of how dangerous it is. You can really only travel through the seas if you're trading something or if you got permission from the kingdom. Our main character, Tress, was born on this island and she has seen nothing beyond it. She works at the Duke's estate, like cleaning windows. That is where she meets her best friend, Charlie, who is the Duke's son. He is one of her best friends on the island, and also she like kind of has a crush on him. It's real cute. However, something happens where his father, Charlie's father, ends up sending him away to travel throughout these dangerous emerald seas. And the book kind of just starts off with following Tress's journey as she goes to save Charlie, the love of her life. It is more of an adventure book. A lot of people were saying that this was part of like Brandon Sanderson's like secret projects. I have no idea what that means. Apparently like he was writing a bunch of books on his Patreon. So a lot of people read this a year or two ago. It says, I started writing this in secret as a novel just for my wife. She urged me to share it with the world and alongside 3 other secret novels. So, oh, it was a Kickstarter, not on his Patreon. Kickstarter. Anyways, I am loving it. I can totally see the hype. I can totally see why everyone was raving about it. There's so many parts of this book that I have highlighted and tabbed because I'm just loving it. I love this heroine. I love her so freaking much. I love the writing style. I feel so stupid. I don't know why I had this idea that I was not gonna like a Brandon Sanderson book. And I always hate when people are quick to judge like romances or cozy mysteries. And I literally did that. I literally did that with like high epic fantasy. Oh my god, I don't know. I love it, I love it, I love it. Literally on the very first page, I tapped something and that was like the moment I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna like this. It's describing our heroine and it says, men often describe the girl as having hair the color of wheat. Others called it the color of caramel, or occasionally the color of honey. The girl wondered why men so often use food to describe women's features. There was a hunger to such men that was best avoided. And like that line right there, there was hunger to such men that was best avoided. I was like, Brandy Santy! It hooked me. It really did. So yeah, I absolutely love our main character. I love the narrator because it's being told to us almost like it's breaking the third wall. So interesting the way the story is being told to us because the narrator is a character in this book. A little bit of an unreliable narrator, but they're also kind of like breaking the third wall. Like something will happen in the story and then the narrator will kind of like look at you and be like, wink, wink, remember that for later. And you're like, okay, remembering that for later. And there's other side commentary that the narrator would make to the reader. Like literally breaking the third wall, fourth wall, I don't know. I love it. All right, that's my little rant. I'm gonna go wash my makeup off. Well, I'm gonna edit the video I just filmed. I think I already posted it. It was like a what's in my bag video. I'll link it down below if you want to watch that. Edit that, take a bath, and then read some more. I do work tomorrow, so I don't know how much reading we'll get done tonight, but I'm loving this. I look a mess, an absolute mess, but I am here. I'm here to update you guys because I'm going through it truly. I fear that the fantasy bros may have cooked with Mr. Brandy Sandy. Absolutely loving it. I immediately busted out my annotating supplies. I never annotate books, okay? It feels like a chore. I don't really like doing it. I like the aesthetic of it, but I just don't like doing it. Immediately, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have a dozen tabs on this thing, okay? And we're not even halfway through. I'm loving it. Okay. Where do I even begin? Tress of the Emerald Sea is so good. Kind of matches my outfit. So good, so funny. I am so invested. I say this with no offense, but there was never a moment of time, a second in my life where I thought, I'm gonna like a Brandon Sanderson book. That, you know what, I just knew my vibe, just know my reading tastes very well. Okay, I read predominantly romance, and then occasionally I will read some cozy mysteries. I do really enjoy cozy mysteries. You guys already kind of know my experience and my journey with the fantasy bros. We don't get along. They're not very nice to me. I'm gonna get roasted in these fucking comments, but just stay with me. Stay with me. Longest time I wasn't reading really any fantasy, not even like romantasy. Never really thought to pick up one of his books, but then everyone was raving about this one, and I was like, you know what? I have actually been liking fantasy recently. Let me pick it up. I love it. I love it so much. I am so invested in this. I cannot even begin to tell you. I am reading the book physically as I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm annotating, highlighting, marking, tabbing. It's a whole experience. I'm not even halfway through, and this is looking real good to me. I didn't even want to put this book down to film this clip. That's how invested I was. I had to text my group chat, and I was like, guys, I fear the fantasy bros may have cooked with this one. Although in the author's note, and you know what, Brandon Sanderson seems like a very nice man, and I feel like I may have judged his books, and I feel like shit, because this is actually a really good book. His author's note, he dedicates this to his wife, and he's kind of like saying that this story was really a story for his wife and never supposed to be something that he was going to publish, so it is a little bit different than his other books and like his usual writing style. So I don't know if that's why I'm vibing with it so much, but I love this. Updates for you guys. I know this is a really chatty video. First of all, we are almost finished with Trust of the Emerald Sea. I am loving this. I cannot imagine this not being a 5 stars because I'm so engaged. I do feel like I'm reading this a little bit slower than normal, not because the writing style or the fantasy world is hard to get into or even complicated, more so because I am annotating it as I'm reading it, which takes a lot of time because I'm highlighting and annotating. And since I bought the physical copy, I wanted to read it physically, but the audiobook is so good. So I'm listening to the audiobook as I'm reading the physical book and annotating it. Usually I get a lot of my reading done at work listening to audiobooks, but obviously I can't do that with this one because I want to physically read it at the same time. Again, I'm reading it a little slower than I normally would, but I am enjoying it so freaking much. Definitely going to be 5 stars and probably going to be the last book I update you guys on at the end of the video. Like I said, I have a lot of updates for you. I have some books to haul, and I also finished a book today at work, so I'll update you guys on that. We're going to do the haul first. So because I was enjoying Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson so freaking much, I definitely wanted to read some more books by him, and here's the thing. He writes so much. It's ridiculous, okay? Is he running out of time? Is he Alexander Hamilton himself? I don't know. Brandon Sanderson universe is so intense. I don't even know how many books he has, but it's a lot, okay? It's a lot. I was scrolling some of his backlist and I was like, bruh, but it's a lot, okay? And a lot of his books are intertwined, and some you have to read before others to like fully understand what's going on. So I was not sure where to start. My good friend Mel from Mel Binds Fix, she is a huge Brandon Sanderson fan, and we were just kind of like messaging each other, and she was giving me all the tips. So I kind of narrowed it down to 2 series that I'm thinking of reading. I really do want to read the Skyward series. That is a YA series that I remember people absolutely raving about and loving a couple years ago. I mentioned that I was thinking of picking up that series. A lot of people were like, yeah, that series is good, but it's YA. It's not like his strongest. Everyone messaged me and it was like, Sam, you know that's YA, right? The writing style is very different. And I was like, what's wrong with YA? Like, I actually do read YA from time to time. And then I was also thinking of the Mistborn series, because this is the one that everyone was recommending to me on TikTok, Instagram, my friends, like everyone was saying this is a really good place to start when it comes to Brandon Sanderson. I know it has like a huge found family trope, which is a trope I love in fantasy. The reason I'm saying this now is because there are a lot of fantasy books that I'm just not going to be able to get to in this video, and we're going to do like a part 2, part 3, maybe even a part 4, and one of those videos will have more Brandon Sanderson books. So you tell me which books you think I should pick up. That was a really long explanation to tell you how I ended up buying these 2 books. I was on the hunt for some more Brandon Sanderson books, so I decided to go to a used bookstore near me. This used bookstore, I mainly go to look for like historical romances, cozy mysteries, maybe some classics, because it's very rare that they get new releases, and it's mainly a store that kind of has secondhand books. I usually find really amazing gems there, but typically they don't always have newer releases. So I went there in hopes that I would find a Brandon Sanderson book. You know what my mindset was that he is a very popular author. So I was like, maybe he is like Nora Roberts and James Patterson, where at every used bookstore and thrift store and Barnes & Noble, you can find his books. I was wrong. So I went to this used bookstore, could not find him. And I was talking to the guy at the bookstore, and I was like, hey, like, do you have any Brandon Sanderson books by any chance? And he's like, no, love, like, we cannot keep him on the shelf. As soon as we get one of his books, they are gone the same day. And that's fair. That's fair. So I did not end up finding a Brandon Sanderson book there. You can see I threw in some clips of me going to the bookstore, and it's a gorgeous bookstore nonetheless. And I did end up picking a book, and this one is a new release. That is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. This is the first book in her Saga of the Unfated series. I think that's what the series is called. This book is so ridiculously stunning. Gorgeous. I love the cover. I love the sprayed edges. I originally grabbed this one because of the sprayed edges, and the guy at the bookstore was like, oh my gosh, like we just got that one, and I was reading it on my lunch break. It's about like Nordic mythology, and it sounds really interesting. He totally sold me on this book, so I picked it up. I go to this bookstore fairly often, so he was like, yeah, I'm reading it too, so next time you come, just let me know what you think about it. So I don't know, accidentally buddy reading this with the guy at the library. So very excited for this one. This is another fantasy. I know a lot of people love Danielle Jensen, and surprisingly, I haven't read any of her other books. We'll still start with this one first, only because I am actually like fascinated by like Nordic mythology, Greek mythology, all that stuff. I think it's just really fun. So that's what I got at the bookstore, and then I got these 2 books in the mail. Brandon Sanderson book I did end up buying is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Crest of the Emerald Sea is, I think, like one of his secret projects that he was doing on Kickstarter or Patreon. I believe this like very, very loosely ties into the Cosmere like universe, but a lot of people are saying like this really is a standalone and you can read it on its own without reading any other Brandon Sanderson. And this is also described as a standalone, one of his secret projects that he did on Kickstarter. So I was like, you know what, let me pick it up. First of all, I love this cover. I think it is so fun, and the synopsis sounds so freaking interesting. I'm really sold on this book because Reagan from Peru's Project did a reading vlog where she was reading this one. She described it as like this epic fantasy with this Freaky Friday twist to it. I was sold. Like, that's literally all I need to know. It said Brandon Sanderson brings us a gripping story set in the Cosmere universe as told by Hoyd. Hoyd, that is the same narrator in this one. Is he like a... He's important. Okay, I'm getting, it's clicking, guys. You all know who Hoyt is. I didn't know. I wasn't aware he was, okay. It's starting to come together, Mr. Brandon Sanderson. I did not know that was a thing. Okay, sorry. Universe as told by Hoyd, where 2 people from incredibly different cultures must work together to save their worlds from certain disaster. It sounds like it follows our 2 characters. It follows Yumi, whose job is to summon spirits and channel their energy and their creativity. And then it also follows the painter, who lives in a world shrouded by darkness, and his job is to paint these nightmares to prevent them from like growing and like taking over the universe. Somehow, some way, they end up like body swapping, seeing each other's lives in their own perspective. That sounds really fascinating. That's where like the Freaky Friday body double twist comes in. So I'm excited to read this. The synopsis sounds incredibly creative and unique. I feel like I'm not even doing it justice by describing it, but it sounds really, really interesting. And also, I'm really happy I got the physical copy because it is gorgeous, stunning. All right, and then the next one I got is not a fantasy book, and that is Thorn by Marina Vivancos. You guys know Marina Vivancos is my favorite author of all time. I'm obsessed with her. I talk about her endlessly, but she predominantly writes queer romances that have amazing representation when it comes to like mental health and diversity. I just love her writing so freaking much. I know I sound like a broken record, but she's so underrated. And for the longest time, she was only publishing her books through like ebooks. You couldn't buy physical paperbacks. But now she's slowly but surely releasing some of her more popular releases in paperback. She's been doing that for a couple months now. So with each new release, I automatically buy it, no questions asked, because I've read her entire backlist and loved every book. So I'm like, give me all the paperbacks. So this was the next one that she released. It's Thorn. Thorn is the first book in a duology. Both books have arranged marriages where our alphas and omegas are being set up together with basically like political marriages. Although this is technically a duology, you can read them as standalones. I absolutely love this one. You guys know I love Omegaverse. I love historical time periods. Yeah, I'm really excited to have this in my collection. Okay, that is the haul. Small but mighty. I'm gonna put these books away, find some room on my shelves. My shelves are like busting out the seams, but I will put these away and then I will update you on the book I finished today. I haven't even talked about the book that I finished today. I finished it in literally one sitting, so give me 1 second. Right, so I put my books away. I'm sitting in front of my other shelf. The shelf I'm usually sitting in front of is where all of my historic romances are. Cozy mysteries, anything that's in like a mass market paperback. And then this shelf right here is everything else. Fantasy, contemporary, nonfiction, YA. And then if it doesn't fit on this shelf, it goes in the closet. The closet's a mess. It's something you shall never see. Castle of the Emerald Sea was our like physical book that we were reading. I was reading another book, an ebook. So I really needed an audiobook to listen to while I was working today. So I decided to pick up one that's been on my TBR for a while, and that is A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by J. Penner. I think I originally saw this book either on Instagram or maybe TikTok because it was being compared to cozy fantasy books like Legends and Lattes and Cursed Cocktails. And those are fantasy books that I really, really enjoyed. I read a lot of cozy mysteries, especially like baking cozy mysteries. So I really enjoy cozy fantasy books like Legends and Lattes and Cursed Cocktails. This book was a really fast read. I was listening to an audiobook, essentially finished this in one sitting. I was done with this book before I even had taken my lunch break for the day. I really did enjoy this book actually. It was a cozy, fast read, really simple to listen to on audiobook. I feel like this would also be great for people who love like the British bake show because it was giving similar vibes. The book follows our main heroine, Arleta Starstone, who is a baker, but in the beginning of the book you realize she doesn't have it that easy. Both of her parents passed away when she was really young, and she is also human with absolutely no magic. And she lives in a small town and a fantastical setting where class is really defined on how much magic you have. Like the top class is like the more powerful fairies, fae, warlocks, and because she is human with no magical abilities of her own, she experiences a lot of prejudice because of that, and a lot of opportunities are not given to her because of that. So she is really trying to make a name for herself as this baker. She's trying to save enough money to fulfill her lifelong dream of opening up a bake shop. And another one of her dreams is that she's always wanted to participate in this baking competition that is televised. She's never really gotten the courage to even try to go on this competition show because a human has never won or even made it far into the competition. So she definitely thinks that the competition is skewed to not be in her favor. Her meddlesome neighbor ends up applying her to the competition. So when she gets the letter, she's super hesitant to go. The person delivering the letter is a elf that has a lot of faith in her. They end up having a connection. He convinces her to go to this competition. She travels and she's competing. That is the overall premise of this book. Like I said, very British bake show vibes. It's a cozy fantasy. I am kind of torn on my rating. I think I'm going to settle on a 3.5 rating. The beginning of this book, I liked the cozy fantasy vibes. I liked the very like subtle romance that was happening with her and this elf, but it was like slightly forbidden because she didn't have any magic and their like relationship was looked down upon. I was vibing. But as the story progressed, I I feel like there wasn't enough, it just wasn't as strong. In cozy fantasies, it's not really meant to be high stakes, right? It's not an adventure romance. However, the plot twists in this book were kind of just meh. They felt like really thrown in there. Weren't my favorite because a lot of it was like miscommunication and the heroine just doubting herself. Like that was the main conflict in this book, was the heroine doubting herself. And then the cozy element, for this being a like baking competition, I wanted more descriptions of the food. I wanted recipes. I wanted descriptions on like the competitions and like all of the ingredients that were available to them. I wanted like the judges' reactions to each food. I literally wanted like British Bake Show in this book, and I feel like they really glossed over the cozier parts of this book, which would have been like the descriptions of the food or the magic system. Like some of the contestants have magic that could assist them in their baking, and it was kind of like seen as a disadvantage for her because she didn't have that magic. But then like you never saw people using their magic, so I don't even know how that would have helped them like in the competition. And then the romance itself was not a focal point like whatsoever, which is fine. I can read slow burn, I can read closed door romances, but I definitely felt like they could have done more with the romance in this book because the hero was so cute, and the way that he supported her and just their connection, it was so freaking cute, but you got like so little of it. Okay, it sounds like I'm being really nitpicky, and I guess I kind of am, but that's because the other two books that I've read in this video, Half a Soul and Trust of the Emerald Sea, those were like 5 stars, just like blowing everything out of the water. So when I'm comparing this book to those, it just doesn't hold up as much. Although, on a good note, I had a great time reading this. Again, I finished it in one setting. It was really easy to follow along. I did enjoy the cozier elements. I did think the romance was cute. I just wanted more. I wanted more descriptions of the food, more cozy elements, more magical elements, more time with a couple. Like, I felt like this book could have been longer, to be honest with you. So that's why I'm kind of hitting like a 3.5 rating, because I think the premise was cute. I loved every single side character that was in this book. And I'm really hoping that we get to see more of those side characters. I do think there's like a second book, if I'm not mistaken. This is a series. All right, yes, the next one is called Librarians and Dragons, but I don't think it's released yet. It's supposed to release this year, November 5th. So yeah, I could totally see this being a series because of all the side characters, or I could see it just following different characters as they're entering into this baking competition, and like each book is their own journey as they're competing. Like that would be so cool. 3-star rating is still good to me. Those are the books that I enjoyed, but they're just not like amazing, magical 5-star favorite book of the year. Does that make sense? I hope it does. That's my update for this book, and I will update you guys when we finish Trust of the Emerald Sea. Sorry if you can hear my air conditioning. I am sitting in my car on my lunch break. I'm going to read a little bit. I brought my book to work. I'm really hoping to finish this today because I feel like this vlog is so long. Anyways, I'm sitting in my car reading because I have to be in the office today. Oh, someone's walking by me. Okay, anyways, gonna be in the office today, and is that a crow? Oh my god, no, it's not. Okay, get it together, Samantha. To be in the office today, and whenever I read at my desk or in the office, I don't know what it is, but I feel like people think it's like an opportunity to like start a conversation, because immediately, even if I have both my headphones in and I'm actively reading my book, they will stop me and ask me what I'm reading, and like they don't care what I'm actually reading. Like 9 times out of 10 they are not readers. Love to talk about books, I love to make bookish friends, but like 9 times out of 10 they will respond with, I haven't read a book since high school. Why did you stop me from reading then? Why? So anyways, I'm sitting in my car and I'm gonna read now. I'm on chapter 35, and some stuff is happening. So yeah, we don't have too much to go. Well, that is a lot. I feel like I had read a lot of this book, but again, I'm reading it so slowly because I'm annotating it. Anyways, I'm going to read and eat my lunch in my car like the introvert that I am. Guys, I read my entire lunch break, and then I started listening to some of the audiobook while I was working, and then I immediately went home, sat on my bed, and continued to finish this book. I love this book. We finished Trust of the Emerald Sea finally, and we're giving it 5 stars. 5 fucking stars, to be clear. If I could give it 10, 20, 30, 100 stars, I would. I love this book so much. I love this book so much. This was fantastic, and it's absolutely going to make my top reads of the year. This to me was truly an adventure book. It has like a little bit of a romance, right? Tress is embarking on this journey of the Emerald Seas to save her best friend and the man that she's in love with, Charlie. But on her way, she comes across a lot of obstacles, and it's really her going on this adventure, being more confident in herself and realizing that she is the main character in her own story. And I loved it. I loved the world building. I loved the fantasy element. I loved all of the side characters. I loved the narrator. The story is being told to you by this narrator. It is very humorous. He has like different side commentary as he's describing what's going on. This book was so funny, but also engaging and a little bit cozy. It's this epic fantasy that's easy to follow along and almost feels like a little bit of a cozy fantasy, if I'm being honest with you. So I loved it. I think Tress is like one of my favorite characters I've ever read about. She was so brave, so kind, so adventurous and wonderful and perfect and just beautifully written. So I love this so much. Read this book. This was the highlight of the book for sure. So far we read 3 popular fantasy books and I thoroughly enjoyed them. I can absolutely see why all of them were popular and favorites. I did kind of like steer away from my initial TBR. I didn't end up reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I do really want to get to that. So we will have a part 2 of me reading more fantasy books since I'm in a fantasy mood. What other fantasy books would you like me to check out? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to quickly wrap up this video. The first book we read was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. That one was a fantasy where our heroine was cursed by a fae, but it's also a historical romance. It follows our heroine's journey as she is going to London to search for the sorcerer to help break her curse. 5 stars. I really enjoyed that one. I think what all of these books had in common that I really ended up liking was that all of the heroines were so well written. They were strong, they were independent, they were kind, and I loved them. I am predominantly a romance reader, but none of these books really had romance as the sole focus, and I was totally okay with that because I enjoyed the fantasy worlds, but I also enjoyed following our heroine's journey. And I'm realizing I just love a strong, well-written heroine who has a lot of agency, and then you add like a fantastical element to it. 5 stars. Loved Half a Soul. The next one we read was A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by Jay Penner. This was a cozy fantasy with British Bake Show vibes, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed the reading experience. I finished it in one sitting. I thought it was really cozy and fun. I will absolutely continue on with the series when the next book releases. The only reason I gave this one 3.5 stars is because I needed more. I wanted this book to be longer. I wanted more romance, more cozy descriptions of the food, and I wanted our heroine to be just a little bit more confident, but I still did love reading about her journey. So 3.5 stars. And then the one that we just finished, Tress of the Emerald Sea, I've talked about this one enough. Gave this 5 stars, and I definitely plan on reading more Brandon Sanderson. This is bringing our fantasy vlog to a close. Thank you guys for staying this long. I know it's been a really long video because I filmed this over the course of a couple months. I had a lot of b-roll and random clips that I threw in here, so I hope you loved those like slice of life moments and you guys like these longer vlogs. That's it. Thank you guys so much for sticking this long. If you stayed this long, wow. You and I are bookish besties. What emoji should you leave me so I know you stayed this long? What about some green hearts for Tress of the Emerald Sea? Leave me some green hearts in the comments down below so I know that you're a real one and you stayed this long. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave those green hearts if you like these longer vlogs. I love you guys. I love you so much. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!